Welcome back to the ProSource podcast, everybody. Today on the podcast, I'm excited to welcome TM Nuckols, president of the Dixie Group's residential division, on as we dive into the world of soft surface style. If you're not aware, the Dixie Group oversees two of the brands that we're going to be spotlighting today, Masland and Fabrica. Both of these brands are known for their elevated design, strong color point of views, and leadership in the premium carpet and rug space. These brands continue to shape how trade pros bring warmth, personality, and balance into their projects. Thank you so much for coming on today, TM.
Thank you very much for having me, Molly.
I'm excited to get to talk to you. It's not every day that we get to have a president of the company on. So I'm sure our listeners are super excited to even just get to know you before we dive into both of these brands. So to kick things off, can you just share a bit about yourself and maybe your day-to-day role with the Dixie Group and how you got to where you're at now?
I'll be happy to, Molly. Thank you again for the opportunity. I've been in the fiber and flooring sort of carpet world for, it's hard to believe, it's actually been about 36 years now. Started with DuPont. I was in the fiber business with DuPont for a long time. DuPont sold the fiber business, including the Stainmaster business, off to Koch Industries, and we operated under the Invista name for several years. So all in all, my DuPont and Invista time was about 27 or 28 years. And then I joined the Dixie Group back in 2017. So I've been here a little over 9 years now. Again, it's hard to believe it's been that long, but it has. And I'm very blessed to be part of a great company here at Dixie. I love this company. We have a great culture. Our leadership is an exceptional leadership team, wonderful people that I have the opportunity to work with. And I'm really blessed. My responsibility really is the sales, marketing, and product development organization. We have a super strong team. I'm very blessed to work here and work alongside a lot of great people. So I'm very thankful for that.
It's awesome to hear. And I can vouch for that too. Every time we've worked with the Dixie Group I'm on the marketing team for ProSource. So anytime we've worked with you guys on anything marketing related, it's been great. You guys have been a great partner for all of our showrooms as well. For any trade pros that might be listening to this podcast and they're not familiar with both of these brands, maybe they haven't even heard of them, if that can happen. How would you describe Masland and Fabrica's product offering right now?
Yeah, sure. So Masland and Fabrica, first of all, they're highest end brands within the company, and the entire company is kind of focused on the mid to high end part of the residential flooring market. Masland and Fabrica are very much at the high end of that space. Both our high end brands, Masland and Fabrica, are both doing very well, even through the downturn. As we've seen sort of the carpet segment, residential carpet segment, kind of peaked in 2021. It's kind of been declining since then. And a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, there's a lot going on. Interest rates have been very high. Home resales have been very depressed. New construction has been impacted off and on. And again, it's a lot of factors, a lot of geopolitical factors in play as well. So a lot of consumers are just pushing the pause button, and the residential carpet market has certainly felt that. We've been very fortunate to operate at the higher end of the market, which has done better. And our Masland and Fabrica brands have actually done very well given the market conditions that we've been playing in. So we feel good about that. A couple of years ago, actually about 3 or 4 years ago, we expanded our decorative line in our Masland and Fabrica brand. So we used to have Masland wool and Fabrica wool. We sort of rebranded, reinvented those maybe a little bit into 1866 by Masland and Decor by Fabrica. And we really just expanded the assortment of content, the product assortment there, instead of being so focused only on internally tufted wools, sort of open those categories up to a lot of imported products and handmade products, hand loomed, hand tufted, wire Wilton construction, a lot of other unique constructions that we didn't have in our portfolio at that time. So that has really helped. Those two decorative lines turned into growth engines for us. And again, very very happy to have Masland and Fabrica as part of our portfolio. They performed very well through the downturn, and looking forward to better days for sure, but feel good about where we are at the same
I'm a big believer that usually what comes down goes back up
time.
eventually, right? So
Absolutely. It's a cyclical
I
business.
yeah, yeah, and everything's very trendy, you know. I personally love carpet. I think that it's very warm and it just adds like a level of comfort to a place. Obviously, it's harder to clean than a wood or hardwood flooring or vinyl. But I know with carpet too, you can really have a good time playing around with the color of carpet. And you guys have built such a reputation around color and design. How would you describe your approach to color and how it's evolved over the past few years?
Yeah, so great question. Thank you for bringing this up because the residential carpet segment has really become a virtual sea of sameness. Um, it's really been driven by a movement towards solution dyed, primarily polyester, but solution dyed yarns, which have a lot of neutrals. And over the past 10 to 15 years, solution dyed polyester has certainly grown more than any other fiber in the residential space. So we see color as a way of differentiating ourselves in that space, in that market. Um, you know, there's no one else really talking about color right now. And we feel like we are uniquely qualified, or certainly the most qualified, to kind of step in and fill that sort of void in the marketplace. I think this is true for a couple of reasons. Number one, our main building block as a carpet manufacturer is white dyeable nylon. And white dyeable nylon allows us to tuff the carpet before color is applied and apply the color on an order by order basis after the carpet is tufted. If you have a solution dyed yarn, once you tuft it in the carpet, that's the color that roll of carpet's always going to be. With a white dyeable nylon, you can tuft the roll of carpet. It's uncolored at this point, and when you get an order for a certain amount of yards or certain roll size, then we can dye the roll that color and use that to fill that order, and then keep the balance on the shelf, wait for the next order to come in. So it gives us more flexibility in color and lets us create these long, beautiful color lines that really set Masland and Fabrica apart. The white dyeable nylon toolkit of fibers that we have at our disposal gives us the opportunity to really blend colors together and or blend fibers together that create coloration effects in the final product. And what do I mean by this? I'm talking about deep dye and light dye sort of combined together to create a tonal effect. Or there could be
Yeah.
other accent yarns or different lusters that we use to create just different looks in the product. And that really helps us, number one, from a coloration effect, but number two, it helps us from a design effect. So it really enhances the design of these products that we're able to put into our Masland and Fabrica brands.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when people think of color, because color is super trendy right now, people are trying to get their spaces to be colorful. People think of maybe cabinets when they're talking about color. I feel like people don't think too much about carpet, but it's such a impactful way to add color to your space. And like you mentioned, the two tonal color variations you can do that can make your space look very cool, like no one else probably has. And I just want to make sure that's your Step Into Color campaign, right?
Well,
So,
Step Into Color really was a campaign that we sort of launched 2 or 3 years ago. And it was really what we were trying to capture is the essence of what differentiates us in the marketplace. And so we talked about different ideas. We kind of landed on Step Into Color because again, as I mentioned earlier, no one is talking about color in residential. And color is a huge factor, maybe the most important factor, quite honestly. When you think about home decor, it's all about coordinating and complementing what else is in that home. And so we're able to offer a color story and color capability that others do not offer. And not every consumer is going to be interested in a certain shade of blue or a certain, green or something like that, but some are. And
yeah.
we're here to serve those consumers, make sure they can get the color that they want. So, Step Into Color is all about is recognizing that color is important, and we're the place between Masland and Fabrica in particular. We're the manufacturer to go to when you have that customer who's looking for a particular color. We have a custom color capability, which is sort of also plays into step into color. It's a pretty easy process, a pretty quick process as well. It's not difficult at all. And again, not everybody's going to use it. Not every, our long color lines with Masland and Fabrica, I mean, most of the time they're going to have the right color in there. I mean, you've got 32, 36, 40, 50 colors in some of these product are. Usually they can find the right color. But if they can't, and they want a particular shade of blue or any color, we can actually match that color with our white dyeable nylon process. And it's a pretty easy and pretty quick process. And again, with nobody out there sort of talking about color, it's just another way that we can kind of set ourselves apart in the marketplace.
Yeah, I feel like everyone wants customization in today's
Yeah,
world. And
no
I feel
doubt.
like it really brings that. And especially, I mean, even if they're not going with these vibrant colors, having specific ideas of like specific neutral colors, right? I mean, you mentioned there's so many different options you guys have, so it's
Sure.
probably likely they're going to be able to find it already, but if not, they have that opportunity. Are you seeing trade pros continue to dive into color for residential? Or are you seeing them stay with neutral, or is it 50-50 still? Have you seen any
Oh, well,
I
I
guess
mean,
change in that?
yeah, I mean, it's a good question. The reality is, I mean, neutral is going to win the day most of the time.
Yeah,
Um,
safe.
that's just how, I mean, that's just kind of how it is. I mean, and even home decor in general, most of the time a nice neutral, things are warming now, so more beige than gray, I would say, but a nice neutral is going to occupy most of the colorations in a home. However, there are things like color drenching going on right now, which is a trend where the consumer's kind of making everything in that particular room sort of a version of the same color. Maybe it's blue, maybe it's green, maybe it's something different. And that requires something different besides a neutral shade in terms of the carpet or rug that goes in there. And so there are these pockets of color where it's not neutral. The other thing I would add here is that a lot of our Masland and Fabrica business involves a designer. It's not an insignificant percentage of our sales in those brands that ultimately include a designer. And when a designer gets involved, the consumer tends to become more comfortable moving toward more confidence in decorating with color, maybe more than they would be on their own, because the designer has the ability to help them be comfortable and visualize what the end product's going to look like. So they're more bold and confident in working with color in that scenario.
That makes sense. You just mentioned rugs. I know both of these brands are a big destination for area rugs as well. What sets your rugs program apart from others in the market?
Yeah, great question. I would say our two things. One, our content and our design capability are what sets us apart in rugs. There's lots and lots of rug programs out there. Lots of cut and bind, cut and serge, hand serge, machine serge, micro serge. There's a lot of that out there. However, between Masland and Fabrica, with all of our nylon products, with all of our decorative products, we have 215 to 220, probably more carpet styles, not SKUs. That's actually just carpet styles. And then you look at however many colors we have in each style, and it's a huge number of carpet SKUs that we have to work with to create, right? Not to mention custom color, right? So we have a lot of content that we can use to create rugs. And I think that is one thing that really sets us apart. And the other thing I mentioned was our design capability. And we have not only designers who design our carpet product offering, we actually have a dedicated rug designer who works with us, who is able to create truly custom area rugs that can be made into whatever design can be imagined, whatever colors can be imagined, has the ability to put that together into a final package. And that becomes a really interesting part of our, business. Custom fabrication, absolutely. A lot of people can do that. We have a lot of content and a lot of great design resources that help kind of set us apart in that marketplace.
Absolutely. I feel like if anyone listening is not, any pros listening that are not fully leveraging custom rugs from you all, there are a lot of opportunities they might be missing. For example, we talked about this earlier in the episode, but you said carpet, soft surface sales are declining a little bit. Well, that's usually because, hardwood or another hard surface is taking the forefront in trends. However, people are still wanting that warmth and the comfort that carpet brings. A way to combat that, that want is suggesting, hey, here's an area rug for your space that, say you want to change it in a couple of years. It's easier to do that, right? With custom
Right.
rugs. Are there any other opportunities that pros listening here to this podcast might be missing if they're not already
Yeah, I mean,
leveraging this?
I think that hard surface today, let's say it occupies 65% of the home. That's a rough average. I mean, hard surface has grown. It now is the main flooring type used throughout the common areas of the home and that type of thing. So as that has grown, the consumer misses that softness, misses that comfort, misses that quietness that carpet provides. And so, but she loves the look of her hard surface floors too, right? She really loves that look. So what's the answer is a custom size or a custom shape area rug that looks great in her home. And, pretty much every time when a consumer puts hard surface in his or her home, they're going to put an area rug down. I mean, it's going to happen sooner or later. It's going to happen, probably sooner than later. And, area rugs help provide that softness, that quietness, and that comfort factor, but they still get to see the hardwood floors. And if you think about the right area rug, the right shape or the right size that perfectly fits that room, that's a very cool look. That's a very unique, that many consumers, I'm convinced, don't even realize they have the opportunity to do that. If it perfectly follows the lines of the wall or the shape of the room, and they can still see their hard surface, but yet they have a perfectly colored, perfectly sized area rug to complement that, that's a really neat sort of home decor opportunity. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to do more and more of that. And I think the more trade pros that start doing that type of thing, I think the more and more it's going to lead to that being done throughout the marketplace.
I completely agree. And especially the custom sizing, that is very helpful too when you're in spaces that are tricky to navigate. But you need to add something like an area rug in. That's very valuable to know that you can get your rugs custom sized as well as the color on
Sure.
those. When
Absolutely.
it comes to area rugs, what are some of your favorite styles or collections that are either from Fabrica or Masland?
Well, I mean, gosh, there's so many. It's so hard to kind of pick. I mean, we have great selling, carpet styles in Fabrica and Masland. In Masland, a couple that really come to mind for me. One would be a style called Pedigree. Pedigree is it's a beautiful product. It's a very much a linen type of look in a pattern. It's got a wonderful hand. It's a nice thick carpet, heavy face weight, nice hand. It's actually made with Envision ST solution dyed nylon. I know we've talked a lot about color. This happens to be made with solution dyed nylon, but which is great from a performance standpoint. It's got the durability
Yeah.
and the built-in stain resistance and all of that, but just makes a wonderful, wonderful product. That's one of our best sellers. In fact, our best seller in Masland is Pedigree. Another one that comes to mind I would point people to is one called Windermere. Windermere is a beautiful product. It's one that it's as close as we have come to creating a hand loomed or a hand woven visual in a machine tufted product. So you think about these beautiful visuals that we import for our decorative program, and they are beautiful. Trying to create that hand loomed look in a machine tufted item is very tricky, but we've been able to find the right machine and the right combination of yarns that has allowed us to do that. And Windermere is as close as we've come. And Windermere was launched last year. It's a beautiful, beautiful style, and it's selling very, very well. It's very high end style, very high end look, but it's great for wall to wall and certainly makes a wonderful area rug. And it's one of those. It's a piece dyed nylon product. It can be, custom colored. From a Fabrica standpoint, I would have to say two things come to mind. Number one, we have a fantastic color point collection. Products like Barcelona, Ithaca. Cirrus is one. There's a brand new one that has just come out, or is coming out this year. It's called Tattersall, but it's a way that we combine yarns and fibers together in these color point patterns that create stunning looks and beautiful, beautiful products. And so those come to mind. And then our Fabrica cut piles are almost legendary. I mean, you have products like Shea. Um, some call it Chez, right? Chez, but it's pronounced Shea. And Shea has been out there for
It's good to
40
know.
years, and it's still among our best-selling, products. Products like Madonna, one that recently came out as Luxe, but these super luxury, heavyweight cut piles in Fabrica, a lot of them are using a high luster, very soft nylon. Those are phenomenal sellers for us. So it's so many great products throughout those two lines. But yeah, those are a few that come to mind for me.
And I know that was a loaded question because there is so many that you could have just
All
listed
good.
off here. We could have done the
All
whole
good.
episode probably about just products that you want to talk about. But with those products, I know we touched on a lot of the textures and a lot of the styles from those that are probably making them your best sellers. Are there any other styles, patterns, anything else you see trendy within the soft surface space that listeners should be cautious about?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think aware of, what we see trending, first of all, is if you think about the residential carpet market today, the consumer is shopping or thinking about carpet, considering carpet on a room by room basis. So 15, 20 years ago, they were probably thinking about carpet for the whole house. Now they're thinking about carpet for this room or that room or individual rooms. So the notion of it's all got to be the same carpet is out the window. That gives the consumer the ultimate flexibility to do something different in the master bedroom or the primary bedroom, to do something unique in each of the different rooms they're thinking about for carpet. That's opened up this for a lot more use of pattern and a lot more use of unique and differentiated styles because it's not the same thing running through the entire house. What we see trending are patterns and loops with interesting, visual effects using color. And I mentioned earlier how we blend yarns together to kind of create luster play or dyeability play and create those tonal effects. Patterns, small scale patterns that are very textural, very abstract in some cases are very popular. But again, just the whole notion that interesting visuals in carpet are now much more in play than ever before because of how the consumer is thinking about carpet.
What is next for Masland and Fabrica? Is there anything coming up over the next year or two that you're excited about for either of these brands?
Well, we're always focused on really trying to stay best in class, and we have really great products coming out here for 2026. First ones have started hitting. We'll continue to launch product through the second quarter and into the third quarter, both in our sort of high-end nylon categories as well as our decorative categories. So looking forward to 27. I mean, our team is already at work putting concepts together, and we'll be finalizing those. And again, just trying to make sure we're developing best-in-class product with great color lines and serving our customer base because we need our customer base to be successful if we're going to be successful. So we're doing all we can to make that happen.
And anyone listening, if you want to get your hands on some samples of these soft surface products, you can go into your local ProSource Wholesale showroom and ask an account manager there, look around, find the beautiful displays that are up. However, if anyone's just on their phone right now and they want a quick look at any of these products, where can they find either of these brands?
Yeah, so great question. Our websites, 100%. So we have separate websites for each of our brands. Fabrica, Masland, as well as our other brands. They can go and they can look at all of our products. They're, close-ups of each color. There are room scene visuals, and they can actually also visualize the product in their own room. They can also order samples of any of those colors, any of those, products right from the website. So that's an opportunity. And certainly work with your, ProSource teams because ProSource teams have access to our dealer portal and other tools that make it very easy to do business with, the Dixie Group, Masland and Fabrica included.
Absolutely. And going off of that as well, you can find these products, prosourcewholesale.com. We have brand pages on our website as well to learn more. Thank you so much, TM, for coming on, sharing a little bit more about both Fabrica and Masland. We really appreciate your expertise on both of these brands.
Okay. Thank you very much, Molly. And thanks to all the ProSource groups out there for the business. And we're here to help. So let us know what we can do for you.